Hey dudes, on today's episode of P-Dubs Arcade Loft, we're going to take a look at a 256GB Batocera image running off of a Raspberry Pi 4. This image was developed by a couple of awesome arcade wizards out there. This is the same 256GB Batocera PC image developed by Quoc, but other arcade wizard Derek Switzer took it and converted it over to an image that will run on a Raspberry Pi 4. What's really exciting to me personally is if you have experience working with RetroPie and Raspberry Pis and, you've downloaded images off the internet or you've created images from scratch, all you got to do is download the image file, use Balena Etcher, flash it over to a micro SD card, plug that into your Raspberry Pi 4, and you are up and running. You're going to have access to thousands and thousands of games, some pretty cool systems. Let's check it out and see how things work and operate on this particular Raspberry Pi 4. Now let me give you a couple of tips and tricks on this particular image, at least with my setup. I'm using a Raspberry Pi 4 that's got 4GB of RAM. It does have the heat sink on the chips, but we're not using a fan. And I am using an Xbox 360 controller, which worked immediately once I plugged it into one of the USB ports on the Pi. Couple things to note right there where it says audio output and audio profile. If you're just running an HDMI cable from your Pi to your television or monitor, make sure the audio output and profile set to HDMI. That way you get the audio signal coming through your TV. And when it comes to overclock, what I discovered is if I make sure that I have overclock turned off, you'll notice below the audio profile I had set it to none. By doing that without trying to overclock, everything ran smoothly. When I did try to overclock, after about 15-20 minutes of gameplay, whether I tried to do high or extreme overclocking, some games would crash after about 15 minutes of playing. Once I turned overclocking off, everything ran smoothly. I was able to play for over 90 minutes this morning without any issues. Also, when it comes to the game settings, when it comes to shaders, I went ahead and I turned shaders off. That way when I'm playing a lot of these retro games, I get that pixel perfect setting. You'll notice I flipped it there. When it comes to some of the games on here, they do have kind of the image right out of the box, has bilinear filtering turned on all games on systems. So by turning that off, we have no smoothing effects. We have nice sharp pixels on all the games. But that's pretty much the few things that I changed. So, although the Batocera front end has been out there for a while, in fact, even 2 years ago, emulation experts such as ETA Prime and others were making tutorial videos showing you how you could get Batocera up and running on a Raspberry Pi 4. What's interesting, of course, is not everybody has the time, patience, or capacity to build their own images from scratch. So downloading pre-made images, especially ones that somebody like Quoc poured their heart and soul in to make it look as beautiful as possible for you, with the menus and the artwork chosen and the game selection is really, really cool. So of course you're going to fire this up, play some Punch-Out on the NES. Nothing wrong with checking out the wide array of Super Nintendo games and playing some X-Men Mutant Apocalypse. Navigate your way over to the Super Graphics category, play some Ghosts and Goblins. Can it handle some Atomic Wave Guilty Gear 10? Why, yes it can. When looking through the Final Burn Neo games, there's a pretty big selection of games to choose from, but a few of the games did not launch, such as Alien vs. Predator. Not uncommon when you download these massive builds, you find a few games in a build that just aren't launching for some reason. So again, have to, when you don't build it from scratch, you have to figure those out. Maybe I need to change out the ROM set, etc. I just love the menu system that they put together here. They have that nice wheel as well as all that beautiful artwork. And of course, when it comes to your 8-bit, 16-bit games, as well as your, MAME arcade games, most of these are going to run on here without an issue. When it comes to the Sega Dreamcast emulation on this Pi4 image, it works.
Dishes to Harper. Purdue. Dishes to Nash.
Signals and will kick off to begin the half. It's away. Bird fields it deep. 86 will make the tackle.
Now, I did find a number of Sega Saturn games included in this build that would not launch. Again, more games to revisit. Maybe we'll do a follow-up video seeing how we can get those games fixed and up and running. But when it came to some other Sega Saturn games, they launched and played just fine. When it came to your PlayStation 1, many PlayStation 1 games are included on this build, and sure enough, I tested about 10 or so and didn't notice any issues. Of course, it's impossible to test, 15,000 games, but the games I did test ran pretty well and were a lot of fun. So some final thoughts on this quick showcase video for this 256GB Batocera image that will run on a Raspberry Pi 4. I do like the game selection. I do like the menu system for Batocera for navigating options. If you're familiar with using RetroPie, picking up Batocera should be a breeze for you. One thing that is kind of different is, we don't have a lot of side bezels during games. It's pretty much just like a standard, like when you're playing the MAME arcade games, you got this arcade bezel surrounding the screen, and then you just have a picture of the console around the console games. When it comes to the main menus, such as this one, absolutely gorgeous, eye-popping, inviting. When you're actually in the games, it's less inviting, but then again, I'm so focused on the screen, I'm not really paying attention to what's on the bezels when I'm playing. Minus that, everything else with this build is pretty cool. Obviously, I don't share direct links to these type of builds on my channel to avoid any kind of issues. However, if you're looking for this build, I'll leave a link to a Facebook group for the Arcade Brigade. You can touch base with some folks there, ask for some help. And as always, if you guys are familiar with these kind of builds, they're usually hosted in the same places, the same websites, and you'll know where to go. Just by doing a quick Google search, you'll find them and can get access to this kinds of stuff. Overall, really liking this build. Happy to see Batocera running on a Raspberry Pi with a build this beautiful. Let me know what you guys think. Leave me your comments, feedback, reactions below. I'll have some additional Batocera videos coming up showing this on a PC, Android box, different kinds of builds. So if you're interested in that stuff, make sure you click that subscribe button. As always, my dudes, thanks so much, and we'll talk to you soon.